remember for the...
Hello. Hi. Good evening, everyone. So it's connected, right? Yeah. Okay. Yes, we have been having a little bit of technical difficulties, but it seems like we are live, and it's all sorted out. Everything turned out okay in the end. Oh, welcome! Right, we already have 3 people with us. So it's working. Excellent. Yeah, we were sort of a bit stressed out for a minute, but that is all fine now. Good evening, everyone. As usual, right? Just give me a minute. Let me do and share this onto my personal page first. Give me a minute. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing good so far. Just give me a minute. Yep. Okay. Hello. Hi, Stephanie. Okay. Right. Good evening, everyone. Okay, welcome. So it's been, we did a CCR comeback video, I think it was 2 Facebook Lives back, 2 live sessions back, and we've gotten a really good response, really good feedback about that session, which is why I'm doing another CCR session today lah, and today we are really diving deep into dissecting some of the profitable properties, profitable transactions, right? To see what can we learn from some of those profitable transactions lah, and can we replicate them in our own purchases, and what are some of the trends that we can see forming based on all those transactions. And stay tuned, because some of the findings that I found can be quite surprising, even for myself, right? Like, for example, small freehold development that actually did pretty well, right? Beat out some of the larger freehold developments. A 99-year development, above 20 years old, beating out some larger freehold developments, right? Interesting case studies like that. So for us to really dive deep inside and go and see what can we pick up and learn from those interesting case studies. So for today's session, a lot of case studies lah, right? So stay tuned. Let's get started. Right over here. And okay, over to preview. Right. So as usual, before we get into the topic at hand, we like to start off with some of the recent news. And I guess the most recent, or perhaps a very recurring topic, not just in the property market, but in the whole economy, right? Generally, it's the fear or the likelihood of an upcoming recession, okay? And how are we going to tackle it? How can we manage it, right? What is its likely impact on the property market? So we've been seeing on and off, right, newspaper articles. Either it's articles about rising interest rates, which we talked about in the previous live session, right? That snippet is out on our YouTube channel. You can go there and take a look, right? I split out what rising interest rates mean for the market and what rising interest rate mean for you. And in today's session, right, we are talking about recessions, right? What the likely recession, right? I guess it's pretty much already accepted, right? I mean, because the fact is that recessions, by the time the news come out that you are in recession, you are already in a recession because it is something that's retrospective, right? 2 quarters of consecutive negative GDP growth. So in likelihood, we are already in a recession. We're going to know the news in a couple of days, right, on 1st July. Right, but okay, right, that being said, right, what is the likely impact of that recession on the market today? And if we read this article, right, of which I'm going to put that link into the descriptions, you can go and take a look at this article. Came out on the 27th of June, earlier this week on Monday. Pretty scary headlines, right? Shocks to property sector usually stretch beyond the recessions. Okay, I'm not going to go through the entire article, right? Picked up some of the salient points and also put in perhaps the most the table that illustrates basically what the entire article wanted to say, right? So they track 5 previous recessions, right? The 1985 recession, 1997 Asian financial crisis, 2001 dot-com burst, 2008 global financial crisis, and the 2020 COVID recession. Okay, so right, they range from 2 quarters to 3 quarters, right? And what is the thing that they wanted to share or wanted to highlight really? It's the 35.8% decrease in price, 44.9% decrease in price, 44.9% decrease in price, 20% decrease, 24.9% decrease over 9 quarters, 10 quarters, 15 and 4 quarters, right? Basically longer than the actual recession. And so based on the past data, that is what it shows, which is pretty scary for all of us, because that probably means even if this is a short soft landing, a short recession, does it mean that the market is going to go into 15 quarters is a good close to 4 years of decline in the market? Pretty scary. So what do I think, right? What does the data show? Of course, right, this is accurate data, right? It's obviously not wrong, right? But pulling from 1985 to 2009, we know many things have changed. What has changed? Okay, so will we likely go to closer towards the COVID pandemic recession, right, whereby it was just a 1 quarter decline of 1%, or closer to the 2000s dot-com burst recession, causing close to a 4-year decline in property prices? So which one will we be likely going towards? Okay, so some of the other points highlighted in the article, right, is such as the effects of the recession is amplified due to leverage and sentiment. So this is one of the sentences that I picked out, and I guess that's very, very true. Okay, so essentially, the higher the leverage, right, the harder the impact once a recession hits, because all that leverage gets sucked out from the market, demand collapses, sentiments get very, very fearful, and so that causes and that takes a long time for the market to recover, because first of all, people that lose their jobs got to find back their jobs, earn back the money, save the money, then they will start to think about buying properties again, right? Hence, in the 2000s, that was something that has happened. Another point in the article that has also been stated is that there are also some seismic changes with regards to the property market. So in 2001, what was highlighted was also that it was during that period where the government actually came in to come up with quite a fair bit of cooling measures to cool the market, because if you have seen, right, the increase in home prices, what wasn't indicated here, right, is that the period before the dot-com burst, property prices have shot up significantly, causing the government to come in and implement a lot of cooling measures. So there was quite a bit of a seismic change in the market in the early 2000s as well. Right? So some of the suggestions that the authors or the author said is to refrain from over leverage and have sufficient funds to last yourself 1 year. And we don't need for a recession to be coming for us to really use that as a word of advice. It's an advice that we've been sharing with our viewers, our clients for many, many years already. Doesn't matter recession or not, yeah? Right, next up. I think, this whole recession thing or not, happen, don't happen, right? I think to really condense that whole discussion really comes down to will there be a sharp plunge in prices, right? For those waiting to enter the market, right, that's the question you have in mind. Because if there's going to be a sharp plunge in the market, should I wait for that plunge to happen and then come in and scoop something up at fire sale prices, right? For sellers, you might be thinking, oh, if a sharp plunge is going to come, should I exit now versus a time where the prices drop, right? Or especially if, based on the article, it's going to drop and last out for a couple of quarters. And as usual, we try to break it down into bite-sized, easy to understand bits, right? So that while we are very, very detailed in terms of the data, I try my best to explain it in an easy to understand manner. So how I've broken it down is, as usual, into demand and supply, right? On the demand side, right, whether or not, or how does the speculative demand measure up today as compared to the years of the past, okay? How does foreigner demand compare today versus the past, right? Foreigner local demand. What's that percentage and how does it compare to the past? And did that contribute to some large spikes and drops in prices in the past, okay? As well as upgraded demand. And then we're going to take a look at, on the supply side, what's the unsold inventory, what's the inventory trends, and where are we headed towards, okay? So what does a recession mean for you, okay? So this particular data, I picked it up from this article over here written by Hutton's research. I'm going to put that link also into the description for you guys. You can go there and take a look. It's, I would say it's a counterbalance article to that earlier article lah. And in it, he states several reasons why he doesn't feel that the market is going to enter into a prolonged decrease in prices, okay? So one of the data that he put out, which I picked up, and I feel is extremely relevant for, all of us to understand. In 1995, right, the speculative demand constituted 31.1% of the market, right? So 1 out of every 3 transactions was speculative in nature. What does speculation or speculative demand mean, right? Is that, people are just buying without the intention of staying in it. Not just that, right? Why is it called speculative and not investment? Because they look to flip it quickly for a profit, right? So for those of you who follow us, for most of you know, that is something that's no longer possible today. Do you know last time, right, you buy a property, you don't even need to pay the stamp duties immediately, right? Today, after you exercise a property, you got to pay it within 14 days. Last time, you have quite a fair bit of time to pay it, which allowed for this huge market of people buying, basically putting money to secure an option, right, an option to purchase, and then selling that option to purchase to someone else at a higher price, basically at zero cost, right? They don't even have to pay stamp duty, right? And so that was what created in, I use this analogy of this very frothy beer, okay? Because speculative demand really, the whole analogy is a pint of beer with a lot of bubbles, right? That bubble constitutes the speculative demand. So 1/3 of the glass is bubbles. So what happens when the bubbles disappear? the actual level drops down to where the alcohol is or the liquid is. And so with a lot of speculative demand, we see huge spikes and drops in prices. Later on, I'm going to show you a graph to illustrate that. But actually, you don't even need that graph. You see in orange for your ease of reference, right? It resulted in, because 1995 so the 1997 and 1998 recession, right? The price drop was 44.9%. Why? Because one out of every 3 transactions in the market was speculative, and speculative demand is wiped out from the market, or is very, very fast or very, very quick to be eliminated the minute fear sets in, right? Because a guy comes in, he buys a property, just puts down a 1% to secure a option, and then flip it out to people. So what's going to happen if a recession hits? He's just going to forgo that 1%. So a lot of that transactional prices that you see in the market is not built on solid foundation. So very, very quickly, all that prices are going to fall once all these speculative flipping transactions end. Okay? Fast forward to today, 2021, okay? Speculative demand only takes up, and I'm even surprised that there is still like 2.6% of speculative demand, because it's so hard to flip properties nowadays. These 2.6% of transactions are paying the 12% seller stamp duty. So I have absolutely no idea how anyone's making money out of speculating the property market right today. So the analogy is this beer, this glass of beer that has very little froth on it lah. So you know, be it the beer hot or cold, the level is already there. It's not artificially being increased or elevated because of all the froth. Okay, and so with that, with 2.6% speculative demand or speculation in the market, it has resulted in prices only dropping, right, 1% in the previous recession, right, the COVID-driven, the pandemic-driven recession. Okay, this is just one of the figures. Next up, right, so in that particular article, the one that I sent, right, done by Hutton's research, out of the last 5 recessions, he counted, I believe, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, all 5 recessions, the market actually rebounded sharply after. And out of the 5, only 2 of the recessions resulted in a more prolonged recovery in prices, and that is in the 2009 one you see over here. The prices took quite a while to recover. The rest rebounded in a sharp and swift manner. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 2 took a slightly longer time to recover over here. Okay? So what is the next thing that we want to take a look at is how did the government eliminate all this speculative demand? In that period where the speculative demand took up 1 out of every 3 transactions in the market, why is it so? You could take 90% leverage. So with $1 million, you can buy 10 properties, right? Because all you need to do is to put a $100,000 down payment for one, because you can take a 90% loan, buy a second one. Why? And also a $100,000 option fee will do, down payment will do, is because there's no ABSD then. So you can rinse and repeat this for 10 properties. And what that means when interest rates actually come up, number one, now you're servicing, because you're servicing 10 mortgages, you're essentially servicing a $9 million mortgage. That increase in interest rate is going to hit you. Okay, next up. Because you only have so little skin in the game, it's very easy for you, if fear sets in, interest rate comes up, to simply stop paying the mortgage and allow the bank to repossess the thing, right? You probably will not let them repossess your own home, the one that you stay in, but the rest of them you just let it repossess, especially if prices correct 40%, because you only have 10% in equity in that particular property. Now that property has plunged 40% if we see the previous data, right? What would you do? I mean, likelihood you wouldn't go and make the margin call of 30%, you just let the bank repossess the thing lah. Yeah? So all of that, we can no longer do it today. Right? Similarly, the seller stamp duty is perhaps the strongest curb for speculative transactions and speculative demand, is because today, the minute you buy, you are forced to hold on to the essentially forced, because if you want to sell it the next day, you have to pay a 12% additional buyer stamp duty, seller stamp duty. So the buyer has to pay you in excess of 12% for you to churn a profit from there. And which is why it's now only taking up 2.6% of the market lah. Okay? So pre and post 2013, which is why I like to say 2013 is really the year that the property market took a 180-degree change, right? So anyone that is utilizing the kind of strategies, the kind of thinking pre-2013, what worked pre-2013 is not going to work, or is also likely not going to happen post-2013, right? Because of the amount of cooling measures in the market. This is the next chart. So in this one chart, it illustrates all the different, not touchscreen, all the different cooling measures that have been put in the market since February 2010. Okay, right? SSD 1, 2, 3, right? They keep increasing it. LTV 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? To today 75%. Is likely going to drop even more to 70%. They're going to just keep dropping it because we've seen in some of the other developed markets whereby, especially I believe it's in Hong Kong, for purchases under a certain amount or above a certain amount, I can't remember it correctly, the LTV is at 50%, right? So imagine buying a property and basically already paying off half of it. Huh? Yeah, we have SSD 1, 2, 3. ABSD, right? It started with 3%. Yeah, it started with 3% ABSD for foreigners and 0% ABSD for Singaporeans in December 2011, right? That obviously didn't work. The first one came in at 7% ABSD for Singaporeans. Remember, that was the time whereby everybody said, the government sure take this off one. Right? Not only did they not take it off, they increased it to 12% and very quickly increased it to 17% today. So what does this mean for the market? I like to use this illustration of this guy that is wrapped up all in the bubble wrap. Every single cooling measure, it's one layer of bubble wrap around the guy. Right? Today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 layers of bubble wrap. How do you see? So imagine if a deep recession actually hits the market. All right, what can the government do? Adjust one of the cooling measures to bring prices up. Okay? Visualize this, right? A deep recession hits the market. Last time, the government didn't really have a lot of these layers to peel off. Okay? Which is why they had to resort to totally not selling land at some, or pushing out totally not selling land for a couple of years. That again then just results in a huge undersupply moving forward, resulting in huge spikes and troughs of supply lah. So they try not to do that. Now they have so many layers of cooling measures for demand side factors. So imagine this, right? A deep recession hits. The government goes out and say, okay, fine guys, right? I know times are bad. You know, for the next 6 months, you get a discount of ABSD, right? I'm going to drop it down from 17% Great Singapore Sale down to 12%. What do you think is going to happen to the market? You know, personally, what I think they might do, it's to adjust the ABSD maybe for foreigners, right? Or adjust ABSD for certain areas in Singapore, maybe Sentosa, for example. Bring in all the hot money, get the foreigners to pay the stamp duties, and for the government to collect all that money. Once that money flows into the property market, it gets spread out because it gets paid to the developers, get paid to the builders, and sort of host up the entire market lah. So, you know, many levers that they can take. They can tweak to SSD 3 to 2 years, right? They have done many of these things before by implementing cooling measures and taking them off in times of need or in times whereby they need to support the prices, okay? And so all these cooling measures, I would say, have finally helped the government achieve their main objective. Because remember this, is it to the government's advantage to crash the market? The answer is no, right? Because there are obviously political implications involved if prices, right? If everyone's home prices were to tank, right? So it's definitely not their intention. Their intention is to make sure prices go up at a slow and steady manner, right? They hate to see huge increase and huge drops, right? Which we used to see, as you can see with this chart, right? Quarter-on-quarter percentage changes, right? We have like 15% quarter-on-quarter percentage change. Obviously, if you can have 10% increases, you're going to have like 15% decreases and then 15% increases. At the end of the day, not healthy for the market, right? This one is like people's heart rate. The heart rate go up, go down, go down, then later no more heart rate. People jump off buildings and things like that. That's something that the government tried to avoid. And so once you see once post 2013, that fluctuation, that quarter-on-quarter change, yes, while everyone's complaining that the prices are going up non-stop, right? Is it like how it used to go up? The answer is no, right? It's going up at a slower percentage than it used to last time. So without that huge spike and huge drop, without that huge spike, do you think there's going to be a huge drop? I don't think so, okay? So next up, right, so speculative demand, right? You can see the fact that speculative demand has been removed from the market because of all the cooling measures. Huge increases and decreases in prices have been removed from the market, right? We have seen in the first example, post-2013, the first recession post-2013, right? The pandemic-related recession, the prices didn't correct by much, right? Didn't shoot up as much and also didn't plunge as much, just 1% down for 1 quarter. Okay, and the government, remember, and the government didn't even have to remove any cooling measures for that to happen. So what does that tell you about the market, right? Personally, how I see it is it's built on a lot stronger fundamentals today as compared to the past. Using one of these data as well, this particular one, foreigner versus local demand. If you can see in 2010, right, the chart 2010, the Singaporeans took up about 70%, dropping all the way down to close to slightly above 60% of the market pre-2013. So what that means is the market pre-2013 was made up 40% of PR foreigners companies. Yeah? And all these people, they at the end of the day have the choice to leave Singapore and to pull their money away from Singapore. Okay, and remember at that time the PRs they buy, they also don't need any ABSD. They also don't need they don't need any ABSD. The minute they get their PR, they can buy. As a foreigner, also can buy, pay a little bit of extra stamp duty. And so, if you have seen all the previous examples of all the previous case studies, the condos that have the highest amount of foreigner PR ownership are also the condos that have the highest number of unprofitable transactions. So what does that tell me? Right. So foreign demand is, to me, sort of a double-edged sword. Good because they come in, they pay a lot of ABSD lah. So you know your neighbor pay a lot of ABSD for basically your same unit, you have a good buffer price. And also they pay all the ABSD that supplements the government's income and everything so that we all have all the kind of healthcare benefits that we enjoy. But on the other hand, right, because they are so mobile and because they are likely to be more educated, high net worth sort of people, they have the choice to really shift their funds as and when they wish, right? Take for example, I remember a couple of years back, there was this example of a Malaysian businessman that bought, I believe, was 2 units at Marina Bay Residences or the sale, right? It was a downtown condominium. While on paper, he sold it at a $2 million loss because the ringgit went from 1:2 to 1:3. When he converted the Sing dollar back into ringgit, he actually turned a profit. So to that guy, he's so happy, right? He turned a profit. He basically hedged against the devaluation of the ringgit. But over here, the neighbors are all left reeling because there's this guy that just fire sold his unit. Right? So that's just sort of an illustration of what things used to be like. In today's market, right, you see this line going up, Singaporeans coming up today, forming close to 80% of all transactions in the market, right? And so Singaporeans have a higher vested interest. There's also a higher chance that they are buying it for own stay. Even if it's for investment, there's a pretty good chance it's their one and only other investment property, okay? So also what that tells me is the likelihood of people doing a fire sale or just shifting their funds elsewhere, the chances are lower today compared to the past, okay? Next up, right, we also got to consider upgrader demand. I go down to the detail of seeing what actually was the demand in the past, right? So remember 2011, right, where the government lost their first GRC, right? So, right, my channel is not politics, but just to help you understand things better, right? Remember, a lot of unhappiness was because at that point in time, people cannot seem to get new homes. They cannot seem to get new HDBs. At that point in time, the COV, yes, there's COV today, but remember the COV of the past is like, the 100K COV was the norm. People came into the HDB transaction. I mean, for those that is 45 and above, I know, because I look at the data very little. So most of you actually don't know or don't remember that. Last time, right, when people want to sell their HDB, they already have done the valuations. So the sellers do their valuations and they put their price out there based on how much COV they are looking for, 50,000 or 100,000, right? And that made it very, very hard for young couples to buy because they then have to compete with baby boomers, upgraders, people that have made money from the BTOs of the past. So, it's going to be very, very hard for a first-timer to buy. Cannot buy a new BTO. Resale market also cannot buy, resulted in a lot of unhappiness. The data shows, right? Because look at that, in 2013, there was only 1,700 BTOs that hit their MOP. 1,700, right? I like to look at BTO MOP charts. Basically, it tells me the kind of upgrader demand, right? While not all MOP folks eventually upgrade, but a good number of them, at least I feel, and this is not backed by anything, but based on how I see it. If you just go and look at the transactions for every block, usually a block maybe 100 unit every time based on once hit MOP, at least you're going to see 10 transactions come up, 10, 15, 20 transactions come up. So, based on that number, about 10 to 20% of them will upgrade. And so, imagine, look at this, in 10 or 20% people upgrade from 1,700 units. There's going to be just very little demand into the private market. So all the private market, that time you see volumes being very, very high, right? All that is all speculative. All that is all investment or foreigner driven. Very, very little upgrader own stay driven. Make sense? Okay. So versus fast forward to today, okay, right? HDB ramped up their supply of BTOs, and so now today we are having on average about 15,000 MOP units every year. Yeah. In 2022, we're going to have 30,000. That's going to adjust back down next year to 15,000. But it's going to hover around 15 to 17,000 for the foreseeable future, all the way to 2030. 2030, right? In 2030, it's going to spike up again because late last year, the government pumped up more to sort of compensate for the lack of launches over the last 2 years. So we're going to see an average of about 17,000 MOPs on average per year. Compare that to 2013, the times where prices went up and down a lot. Yeah, remember? Because on very shaky demand, not strong demand, not organic, own stay Singaporean demand. Yeah. So today, 17,000. Or 1,000, 100 times more. 100 times more demand. Okay? Next up, right? So that's going to be on the demand side. Now we are taking a look at the supply side. So the market today is going to enter into what I call, right? So a lot of, it's now already known now, but I've been talking about this potential undersupply if you have been following the channel for, I believe, a good 1 to 1.5 years now already. I was starting to talk about it right then during the circuit breaker period. Like but it's only recently that you are starting to hear a lot more of the market talking about this undersupply. And I am of the belief that the government is actually allowing the market to go into a period of long-term undersupply. So why? Okay, hear me out, right? Cause the undersupply, right? So of course, all this supply. So maybe let me explain a little bit, right? Private supply comes in two manners. Private land supply comes in two manners. Number one, government land sale, and number two, en bloc, right? So government land sale is the chart above, right? It charts the amount of government land sales. Notice also in the past, right? 2009, 2011, 2012, how the numbers were quite high. And that has tapered off into somewhat more conservative numbers after 2015. Okay, even during that period of high supply, high en bloc supply, they actually have kept the numbers pretty low compared to the past. And if you look at the previous chart, that is lower supply for higher upgrader demand. Yeah, you see the link? Lower supply on higher upgrader demand, which today is translating to the kind of, increase in prices that we are looking at. Is that speculative increase? The answer is no. These are all on solid local upgrader own stay demand. Okay? So government land sales, quite little, right, as compared to the past. Even en bloc, right, we have seen numbers basically tapering off to zero post 2018 because of all the cooling measures. Because if you feel the cooling measures are painful, the developers feel it double, triple, quadruple as hard. Because for them today it's 35% ABSD if they cannot sell, 5% non-remissible. Last time, before 2018, it is still remissible as long as they can sell finish the property within 5 years, they don't have to pay any ABSD. Today, regardless, 5 ABSD upfront pay first. Yeah? So, now moving on to what I mean by the government is happy to allow the market to enter into a period of prolonged undersupply is because the new launch supply coming into the market will tend to lead to a spike in prices. We all know that because they have to, first of all, the government have to sell the land more expensive because Singapore land is linked to the reserves, so they cannot sell it too cheap. Right? It's valued by the chief valuer before they can put it out onto the market. And then they set a reserve price. So they can't sell for the land for too cheap. Yeah? So it'll always be more expensive. And where was I? Suddenly lost my train of thought. Have to sell more, have to sell more expensive, which then translate into higher prices. And especially today, where construction costs, inflation, everything, land costs already so high, you add on elevated prices, that's going to cause very, very expensive prices. We are seeing it already. We are seeing it $2,100 in Ang Mo Kio. Okay? So does the government see it as a good thing if we're going to have a lot of supply coming up at that kind of prices? I think not, right? While they still launch GLS, I think they have to. Are they launching it in the kind of numbers that we used to see? The answer is no, right? So where is all that demand gonna go? Into the resale market. And since the demand flow into the resale market, is that acceptable to the government? I think so, right? Because the resale market prices are controlled by valuations, or in other words, controlled by the financial institutions, the banks. Yeah, so they are the one determining the prices, and for them, they tend to like to be a little bit more conservative. So understand this, I didn't say the sellers. So while in the sellers market, like where it is today, right, the sellers can demand for the prices, the banks will set valuations at this range. Then they tend to buyers tend to then negotiate, sellers be more reasonable and adjust it down. But again, who actually is the one holding the prices in the resale market is actually the banks, the financial institutions, the people that are setting the valuations. But for in the new launch market, the banks tend to just allow the developers to sort of dictate what kind of prices they want to sell at. So it's the developers that dictate the prices in the new launch markets, and developers, profit-driven, tend to push the price high. Banks, financial institutions in the resale market, they want to be more conservative, so they try to hold prices lower. So demand flowing over there, prices being led by the resale market, the government isn't overly concerned because it's not going to spike like crazy, spike very, very quickly, yeah, because of what I have just explained. Okay, so all in all, government is comfortable for the market to go into a period of sustained oversupply. And also, even one step deeper, right? The last time they allowed that to happen, the developers came in aggressively and beat up the en bloc market, as we can see over here. So now the government is more clever this time around. They know the developers are starting to come in. They know the developers will come in. So what they did, preemptively, December 2021, they came in to increase the developer ABSD preemptively, basically warning the developers of doing another en bloc rush like last time. What they want to do, they want the manpower or the building supplies to go towards building out the HDBs first. They don't want the developers to suck up all the manpower and all the construction supply. All in all, for sort of a more sustainable good for the market. Yeah, I know it's quite deep. You might be already having a headache. So let's move on from this, okay? So in summary, right, where do I see the market headed towards, or how do I feel the market is going to react to the likely recession? Look at demand and supply. Today, there's very little speculative demand left in the market. The demand is mainly made up of locals for own stay. Even if it's for investment, it's their one and only investment property. Yeah, the upgraded demand is expected to remain consistently high because those units, the owners already inside already. They are already serving their MOP. They are going to hit their MOP regardless of what happens, okay? And overall, on the supply, right, we are experiencing a historically low private new launch supply, right? The developers are also sitting on historically low unsold inventory, yeah? So with this high demand, or at least, right, even if it's not high demand, strong organic demand, no froth, remember, right? With low supply, I don't see prices tanking significantly, right? Even if a recession is to hit. Of course, I haven't even talked about other data such as the MAS Financial Stability Report on low leverage, on the kind of cash, right? I've highlighted that many times in the channel before. You can go and take a look at that, okay? So that is more of the fundamentals of the Singapore household balance sheet, right? Today I'm just talking about demand and supply. All in all, after seeing all this data, I'm of the opinion that even if a recession hits, right, what is likely going to happen, okay? Because the developers are sitting on such low inventory, I don't think they will reduce prices. What likely might happen is that the resale sellers will adjust their expectations, right? So what's happening today, give for example, one unit, the last transaction is at 1.5. owners are out there in the market looking at 1.6, 1.7. If you go into a EC, right, MOP EC, last transacted 1.3, pretty good chance you're going to bump into the seller asking for 1.5, 1.6. Okay? For those of you who are experiencing this, right, put it down into the chat. Let me know if you are facing this problem. So that's so what's going to happen if a recession hits and then demand volumes start to contract, right? The sellers will then reduce their expectations. So maybe from last transaction 1.3 to they ask 1.6, maybe adjust to 1.5. Okay, that will impact the property price index, because the property price index basically just charts in that month, in that quarter, what's the transaction. So if the last transactor is at hovering at 1.5, today is dropping to 1.4, yes, right, it's going to drop down. Okay, but you also will notice a pretty good chunk of listings being taken off the market, right? Because likelihood is, unless the owner is in an urgent state, which if you look at the financial stability report, there's not many owners that are extremely highly leveraged. It's already built into the system that they can't over leverage themselves. Okay, most of them will then just elect to put their upgrading plans on hold. We have seen this many times before. For example, in early 2020, when we went into lockdown, right, the listings just all got put off the market, volumes plunged, right? But for however little volumes that they did transact, yes, you're going to probably see prices dropping, but on very little transactions. So chances of you picking up a unit then is also very low, because by the time you see that the property price index dropped, again, it's retrospective. And not just retrospective 1 day, 2 days, retrospective 1 quarter. So remember the previous pandemic-related drop, they say it's 1 quarter. The next quarter is spiked back up. So by the time you say, hey, last quarter, property price index drop, oh, now is probably a good time you enter the market has already moved past you. Okay, so and that's why I put this chart over here. You also notice every time the prices drop, price index drop, it relates usually to very low volumes, and especially in today's market, whereby I have illustrated most of the demand is taken up or made up by own stay locals, right? Vested into Singapore. They won't sell at a cheap price. Okay, they might be selling at a cheaper price as compared to last quarter, but not at a cheaper price compared to what they bought at. Yeah. So this is something that I learned from all the finance YouTubers, right? And because everything is now dropping in the stock market, right? They always say, when in doubt, zoom out. So this is the property price index from in the Singapore market from, I believe, it's 1960 something. The new highs always higher than the previous highs, right? Even the new lows, right, are higher than the previous lows, right? So what you need to do is just to make sure that you are not over leveraged. You have a well thought out plan, right? What you should do, don't over leverage. Prepare sufficient reserve funds. Yeah, I would already suggest that you assume interest rates are going to go up to 3%. Right? You assume already, you already factored it into your calculation so that you will not be in a root shock. In this period of time, get educated. So watching our video, being here today, listening to us is a good start, because that will allow you, right? So what's happened in the market is it's going to just slow everything down, give you a chance to take action, get educated, spot opportunities and take action, which is something that I'm going to share later on in this video. Okay. Lastly, if you are electing to wait, right? I've said this quite a few times. Make sure you understand what are you waiting for. If you're waiting, if your job is not so stable, yes, fine, right? Wait it out, see what things will likely be. If you are in a very precarious position, if you are working in Tesla, for example, you probably will want to wait. Yeah. But if you are in a comfortable position, right, your job is quite stable, you know, you should not be waiting for prices to drop to enter into the market, because history has shown the market picks up quickly. History has shown if prices really are to drop, it's unlikely that you're going to find anything. It's very, very hard. Even for people like us, super duper hard to get, like, you know, these kind of fire sale cases. They're bound to have. Whether or not you can find is another story altogether, okay? Now, I spent quite a bit of time talking about that, probably too much time, but I really wanted to, you know, address that, because I feel that is something that is on everyone's mind at this point in time, because it's on the newspapers every day, okay? On a lighter note, right, I think this is why most of you are here. I hope there are still some people here, but if not, you'll probably be watching the replay. We are here to dissect profitable transactions, profitable properties in the CCR, and this is what we're going to do, right? Just 2 months ago, we already talked about where exactly is the CCR, so I won't repeat it. I'm just going to put that video down into the description, okay? But just very, very quickly, the CCR, right? Bukit Timah, Holland, Novena, Newton, Orchard, the city area. Notice there's this very awkward little bridge over here. Don't ask me why, but it's just very, very awkward, which happens to also be where Canning Hill Piers is located. So Canning Hill Piers is in the RCR, not the CCR. You'll be surprised how many people don't know that. But yeah, it is what it is, okay? So perhaps this is a bit easier for you to see, right? District 9, 10, 11, anywhere in District 9, 10, 11, it is the CCR, okay? But if it's District 1, 2, 4, 6, or 7, right, you can't assume that they are all in the CCR, yeah? Have to see a line. Sometimes it's a difference between one road and another road. Like for example, right, Revere is technically not in the CCR. Revere, which is the former Zouk, is not in the CCR. The road leading to Revere, leading to the old Zouk, is the CCR, but because of the address, it is not in the CCR. So it's extremely confusing, but you get what I mean, okay? So that's that. Let's come down to the serious discussion, right? These are some of the questions that we want to get answered. These are some of the questions that, based on the different case studies, right, we hope to get some answers to, okay? Are there still transformations to be found in the CCR, right? Because we all feel the CCR is this overly built up place. There's little to no empty land to potentially do any sort of transformation anymore, okay? Or new plots to sell to give you new benchmark prices anymore, especially, you know, if we look at your Orchard Road area, your Bukit Timah area, your River Valley area, Novena, Newton area. They just don't seem to have a lot of spare land lying around, right? So of course, right, we have Marina Bay, which has plenty of land, but we won't be talking about that so much today, okay? Second question. Second question, right? Which is more profitable? The age-old question. Is it freehold or is it 99? Yeah, we talked about this in the previous session for the RCR ones. Yeah, you'll be surprised with the results for this particular case studies. Okay, right? Does proximity to good schools matter? Okay, and so now today we are going to compare 2 different locations in the CCR. Again, you'll be surprised with the answers. Does development size matter? What do the most profitable deals have in common? We are going to deep dive. We're going to dive down into the particular transactions, the most profitable transactions in the most profitable developments, looking at the layouts, looking at when they sold, when they bought, and see if we can find any similarities in them so you can utilize them in your own search for that profitable property. Good? Right, then next up we also have do layouts matter? Okay? I have picked out, okay, before you come to that, right, first question, is there still transformation to be found in the CCR? And so we have the new Thomson East Coast line to thank for this, right? I have illustrated the new MRT stations that's going to come up within the CCR for the Thomson East Coast line. And I'm going to zoom in particularly to Great World and Havelock MRT, which are located in District 9, River Valley, okay? And with this, why I show you the master plan. Okay, this one a lot of people don't know, even agents, okay? But because you are watching this video either in replay or here today, I'm going to give you a treat. So we all sort of have the impression that River Valley is this place that's already well built up, right? Not much free land. Let me share with you something. All right, so here is the URA master plan. Correct, huh? Can you see, huh? Yeah, excellent. Okay. So over here, we have River Valley Green, and this is, maybe I use the biggest landmark in this area so you can at least orientate a bit. Great World City, okay, which is over here at this 3.7, you see over here, Great World City. Okay, so we're going to have this new Great World MRT that unfortunately it's not right beside Great World City. It's going to be linked, but it's not, right? It's one street away. So now right here, this whole area is hoarded up. But once Great World MRT is up, we're going to potentially see 3 plots of land come up available around the new Great World MRT. We have this one over here, right? No plans yet. We have this one over here, okay? And the more exciting one, it's this one. Deep pink color, it's residential or commercial on the first floor and residential above, similar to our Piccadilly Grand. Okay, linked directly, all 3 plots are linked to the MRT. Pretty exciting. Okay. Further up over here, we have the huge Yong An Park, which is, if you ask me, just an en bloc waiting to happen, because it's sitting on a huge plot of land with not many units. The units are huge over at Yong An Park. But of course, right, it's not a given, but I feel it's a matter of time. Yeah. But probably the government will launch all these lands first. If I'm an owner of Yong An Park, I'm going to wait for those land to be sold before I want to consider bids for my own. Next up, we also have this particular plot over at Zion Road. Same thing, residential, currently also not occupied. Okay, there's this huge plot over here. Another plot over here, so we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plots around Great World City, right smack in the middle. I would say probably the best location in River Valley, still not launched for sale yet. So if you ask me, plenty of transformation gonna happen over there. So with all of that being said, yeah, now let's go and analyze the River Valley area and what sort of parameters, what sort of considerations should we use, should we adopt to pick up profitable transactions, right? Likely gaps, likely undervalued properties over in the River Valley area. Got to go back here. Yep. Got it. So I've picked out several condos. Likely, I decided to pick up the larger ones for illustration. This particular illustration, right? The purpose of this slide is to show you, I bring your attention to the extreme right-hand column, which is the maximum PSF. So this is the high water mark for developments in River Valley. We have seen, right? 1996 Mirage Tower, so 1996 today is going to be 1996, over 20 years old already, creeping towards 30 years old already. They have hit 2,200 PSF before, right? Aspen Heights, 1998, right? About 25 years, 2,243 PSF. Rivergate, Martin Place, 10 years old, 2,800 PSF, 2,600 PSF, right? Martin Modern, the most recent one, hitting 3,300 PSF. So what do I take away from here? In the current climate where the undersupply in the OCR and RCR have pushed prices up to, we have the upcoming Amor Residences at 2,100 PSF. We have Live at MB coming in 2,300, 2,400 PSF. But all those PSFs are setting new benchmark prices, prices that have never been seen before in those areas. But on the other hand, over here in the CCR, over here in River Valley, we are seeing prices that have already been set before, albeit a couple of years ago. And today, the market has yet to hit back that price, or just barely touching the previous high water mark. So it really depends on the individual, you yourself. Where do you see the value lying? Yeah? How do you understand value? How do you evaluate value? Are you the ones that want to be the first mover into a new launch in a new area at the new benchmark prices? Are you comfortable with that style of investment? Or are you one that prefers to, go into an area that has previously set the price before? Today we are just slowly nudging back to the prices, right? Why is this happening? You can check out my CCR comeback video to talk about why is it happening, right? Today we want to look at the more nitty-gritty stuff. Next up, to answer the question on does development size matter, 99 over freehold, I shortlisted 10 properties because that's the sort of the max I can put into the HProp compare projects function. I know this is very, very tiny. Let me go to HProp so that we can zoom in and play around a little more. Ta-da! Okay, so I've picked a variety of projects, right? I started with picking the 5 biggest one over there. We have River Place, Aspen Heights, Martin Place, Mirage Towers, Martin Modern, Rivergate, and I picked some of the slightly smaller ones. I didn't go with the single-digit number of units one. I chose for those slightly less than 100 units because those at least still considered boutique developments, but not like apartments. Okay, so over here we have the Quayside, the morning side. I don't know why both sides. Up at Robertson Quay. So those also happen to be River Place as well, right? All of which happen to be 99-year developments. So what's the interesting takeaway over here? So first thing, right, you want to see which ones do better. So we are going to sort out by the annualized percentage capital gains over here based on the highest number. So we see the best performing one based on this particular parameter, and this is also based on the last 24 months transactions, right? So just want to caveat and to make the scope correct so that we are all on the same page. Rivergate being the top performing one, Martin Modern at 99 years ranked number 2, right? Martin Modern with an average PSF of $300. Over here, $300 more than Rivergate, $700 more than Mirage Towers, almost $1,000 more than Aspen Heights, performing second, right, with 4.3% annualized gains for the all the transactions in the last 24 months, okay? We have, surprisingly, the key site. So, based on this, what does it tell me? Does 99 or freehold matter based on how the performance have done? Not so much, okay? Because we see Martin Modern and the key site outperforming our friends over at Aspen and Martin Place, yeah? But of course, we also have two that didn't really do quite so well. So, of course, it doesn't simply mean all 99-year developments will beat out, right? So, the conclusion is it's not very conclusive. You can't, it's not a given on which is which. But I'm going to dive deeper into Martin Modern and Quayside, so for us to sort of pick out why they have outperformed some of the larger freehold developments in that area, so that you can then utilize some of those points, and if you are looking at the other developments in that area, see if it matches up with these takeaways, okay? Now, let's jump into that. So, first of all, right, freehold on 99, inconclusive. Number of units, again, also with Quayside, which is why I feel really Quayside is a very interesting case studies for us to dive into, because using all the traditional matrices, small development, right? Small development, freehold, you're already very scared. This is small development, 99 years, almost coming to 30 years, still doing very, very, very well in terms of the capital appreciation. Let's find out why, okay? We're going to start first with Martin Modern, all right? Martin Modern, we can see, right, 24 profitable transactions, 2 unprofitable transactions. We see a range from 2 bidders to 3 bidders, right? I think this is where perhaps if I compare Martin Modern with River Place, is where you're going to take away something very, very interesting. I'm going to move up to unit information over here. Size. So I just changed this one?
Yeah.
This one. Testing. Can you hear me now? Test, test. Okay. Can you all hear me? All okay? Test? Oh dear. Yep. Okay, let's come back to it. Now we are at Martin Modern. Price, 3-bedroom, sort from lowest to highest price. Where is the difference that you see? Yeah, from 2.38 million. We can go all the way up to 1,000 square feet, and it's $2.69 million. So what is the gap that Martin Modern is catering to that has allowed it to outperform some of the larger freehold developments in the market? Okay, basically it's a quantum game. They are offering a unique product that people cannot find in the River Valley area. If you have a limited budget but you need 3 bedrooms, you want to stay in River Valley, Martin Modern is your choice. Okay? Right. That said, right, if you really were to go and analyze the layouts, you will also notice that Martin Modern has much nicer layouts than a lot of the developments, a lot of the other older developments over there, which is why the Martin Modern 1399 square feet 3-bedroom layout, it's so sought after. You can see over here 1399, 1399, 1399 is actually their best performing. If you look at the layouts, right, the most profitable layout over in Martin Modern, 1399 square feet 3-bedroom. Right, I'm going to show you the layout right here. Right, you can see there is no bay window. Most of the other, unless you go all the way back to Aspen Heights era, right? Because if you go to Martin Place and if you go to River Gate, you're going to see the dreaded bay windows. Right? But over here, no bay windows. As a matter of fact, the minute you step out from your private lift, it's a nice balcony. You have balcony over here, and you have balcony at the top. Right? This is how it looks at. There is a wow factor when it comes to Martin Modern. So remember, right, in the resale market, it's all about selling the emotions. And, you know, increasingly so, right, people are willing or they rather buy a better product, albeit 99 years as compared to a freehold, right, because they focus on enjoying the particular property rather than focusing on the freehold and or the 99 years lease tenure. That is also another reason why Martin Modern, because if you have seen Martin Modern, it is by far a much nicer project. Of course, Rivergate has its own charm because of its size, but in terms of facilities, the whole vibe, the minute you step into development, by far the better product in that whole River Valley area. Yeah? So some of the things that I learned from dissecting Martin Modern, right, the most profitable unit in there, right, because I've gone down to the detail of sorting out by transactions which are the most profitable ones in terms of percentage annualized profits, right, to really sort of extract out why people make that sort of money, why 1399 square feet can make $1 million with just a 148, which is 1,482 days holding period, 7.4% non-leverage annualized returns. Okay, it's a kind of investment that is extremely hard to beat even in the financial markets. Even if you buy crypto, also cannot hit. We all know. Okay, coming back to that, so Martin Modern, yes, right, a very common example people use today to illustrate how new launches can make money, how 99-year development can make money compared to a freehold, right? But just to open up the discussion even more, let's look at the key site. Close to 30-year-old development, only 79 units, but still performing very, very well. What makes it special? Okay, so we see the key site over here. Very, very interesting case study because you see profitable transactions. The people that bought, we have a guy over here, the most recent one, bought only in 2018, okay? Sold this year, so just a 4-year holding period, make 300,000. You also notice another guy over here bought in 2016. So 2021, 5-year holding period, make $430,000. So what makes the Quayside so special? How come Quayside, right? We all have been taught that 99-year development after 15-year lease decay will lose money. This guy came in to buy when the development is, I think, 20, after 20 years old, now he's at 25 years old, and he made $300,000. So what makes it special? To understand that, right, we got to go and take a look at Property Guru, okay? Number one, not many units for sale. But when you click in and you go and look at the units for sale, I would say owner-occupiers will want to move in. Because just look at this. Earlier, I gave you the example of a 3-bedroom over at Rivergate and Martin Place. 3.8, close to $4 million already, 3.5 minimum. Okay, then we have Martin Modern, while newer, much nicer a product, it is much smaller, right? 1,000 square feet at 2.6 million, 2.7 million. Over here, we have Quayside, $3 million, you get 3 bedrooms, you get 1,600 square feet. Yeah, you have a pretty good view, this one, of the Singapore River. Take a look at that view. Yeah? So, conclusion, which later I will conclude, but I say first, since I already talked until like that. Notice the gap that the Quayside is filling. So, before you buy a property, right, have an idea on, I've always advocated this, have the exit strategy in mind. And all this homework you can do before buying one. Is it filling a gap? Right? Because if you are not analyzing as a whole, if I were to just show you the Quayside like that, you're just going to come to me with the objection that, are you sure it's already 25 years into a 99-year lease? Next thing, I'm buying, right? Another interesting case study before I forget. This guy bought in 2018, correct? He made $305,000. We can actually see that transaction that he did, right? Is unit 0412. We can, over here, this unit, okay? He paid the other owner $800,000 in profit. Again, another interesting case study, because we are all also taught to believe that if we give the first buyer, because we all brought up to think that this whole property thing, investment, is always zero sum, right? He win, I lose, I win, he lose. So over here, he paid the guy $800,000 in profit. At that point in time, did he buy it very, very cheap? Look at his purchase price. It's not exactly cheap. It is, I would say, market price lah. Market price at that point in time. But just a 4-year holding period, and he has made another $300,000. Of course, not as much as this guy lah. But in terms of the percentage annualized gains, he never lose the guy by that much. Right? He is at 4%, the other guy is at 5.3%. Yeah, both still make money. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you pay the first owner or you pay somebody a huge chunk of profit, you can't make profit as well. You just need to know, are you buying the correct unit? Does it have special attributes that will continue to garner demand even if the property ages? Does it fit into any particular gap in terms of supply in the entire area? Okay, that is the takeaway I have for both Martin Modern and for the Quayside, right? Now, coming back to it, right? We want to go back to presentation slides. Yeah, so does development size matter? 99 years versus freehold, not so much. Yeah, so just now Alright, so now, right, we want to go in and take a look at some of the layouts, but actually I already shown you the I haven't shown yet. So let me show you the 1399 square feet layout for Martin. I showed already. The 139. Never mind, let me show you again, and then we compare it to the riverside and also the river gate and the other developments, right? What are some of the most profitable layouts? Over here, so Martin Modern, the most profitable. This is the 139. Oh yeah, I showed already lah. Private lift, you come in. Is it really fantastic if you just look at it like that? I wouldn't think so. It's not what we traditionally associate with a very, very nice layout. It looks nice on photos, but if actually you look at the layout for premium buyers, they tend to not like the junior master concept that much lah. But you know, it still works, right? It still works. Over at Rivergate, yeah, we can take a look at their 3 bedrooms, which is extremely profitable as well. You see over here is more of a layout that we are very familiar with. Once you come in, we have dining and living area, very longish living room lah, which is why, you know, Rivergate, despite its age, still garners excellent transaction volumes. People are still willing to pay increasingly high prices, and also another reason why it has actually managed to hit 2,800 PSF before. Enclosed kitchen, good size bedrooms, even though there's planter and there's bay window, good size can fit in queen size bed, 2 single beds comfortably, right? Even the 3 bedrooms, yeah, even the 3 bedrooms, the layouts are fantastic, right? Similarly, I call this the longitudinal kind of layouts. I think maybe a bit gonna overheat soon. Yeah, I don't know, the color is going off. Yeah, you may need to cool it down a little bit. Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, the key site, because of its age, we cannot really see the layout. But maybe if I have the floor, yeah, it's so old that, you know, even you cannot really see the floor plan. Even the listing ones, they can't find the floor plan, right? But generally, floor plans do matter over here. But you can see, even though Martin Modern, the floor plan is probably not as nice as Rivergate or Martin Place, people still are buying it. 1399 most popular layout because of the product and also because of the quantum. Okay, now let us come back to the slides. So conclusion, right? 99 over Freehold. In what circumstance? If the quantums make sense, okay? If the quantums make sense, 99 over Freehold is perfectly okay in the CCR, in the River Valley area, as we have seen, okay? Freehold over 99 when, of course, if the development is of a big enough size, the layouts are good enough. In that case, even if you pay at the highest quantum, if you set the benchmark price in terms of the quantum, in terms of the PSF, it will continue to go up because it will continue to garner good demand. Okay, but you can't really choose too small of a development over there, as we have seen, right? While I state here, it doesn't quite matter if the attributes do well. You have the attributes that I mentioned for the above 2 points do well, the development size don't really matter. But if they don't meet those requirements, why I say also it doesn't matter is because you buy big or buy small, if you don't meet those requirements, terrible layouts or not big or small development, you will still lose money. Of course, big development more safer lah, but if you have a small development, bad layouts, you are still going to lose money. Okay, 99 Freehold, whatever. So do layouts matter? Yes, they do, but not as much as what is most important as quantums. I think the whole takeaway from this River Valley example is that quantums are very, very important, right? And also how that is going to take us into analyzing the CCR in the future, the value proposition that I see with the CCR moving forward, okay? Next up, the next area that I'm choosing to analyze is the Newton Novena area, okay? Coming into, let's take a look at the master plan over here. Jumping back over here to the master plan, and let's go over to Novena. Okay, so over in Novena, well, they say there's the Novena medical hub transformation. I take that with a pinch of salt. I like to see where are the empty plots available. So over here, of course, the big, most interesting one, you see this huge subject to detailed planning but colored in residential coloring, okay? We also have another one over here. So all this is beside and near Tan Tock Seng lah, right? And we have a couple, right? Over here, currently you see quite a fair bit of condos, but there is still a lot of empty land, right? You just have to click around. If there is no name like this kind of the condo, it means it's likely a empty plot of land destined for future development, right? So that is over in the Novena area. If we come down slightly, right? For those of you who know, this is United Square, the dark blue ones over here. So over here is Derbyshire Road. We have a huge plot over here. This huge plot over here destined for residential use as well. So another empty plot of land. And if we go down towards Newton, right? Not very good with. Okay, if you go down over to Newton, okay, the most interesting part about Newton, of course, if we are familiar with the area, doesn't look like they have a lot of land. The last nice plot, which is has already been taken up by Copa at Newton. But other than that, what's perhaps a little bit more interesting is this plot, right? They have not yet really decided what they want to do, which is why they are still classified under reserve site, okay? The whole area around Newton MRT, together with the current temporary office, also is considered a LTA temporary office, is also considered a reserve site. So once all this comes into play, but over here, there are some small plots of reserve potential land still in the Cairnhill area as well. But over in Newton, not so much about new empty land, but I want, for the sake of this particular case study, there are more interesting units to be found over in Newton for us to learn, which is why I'm diving into Newton more as opposed to Novena, right? Let's take a look. So not as much in terms of transformation, or not as exciting as I would like to say as compared to River Valley, right? New MRT coming up, empty land beside it, right? But Newton, Novena, we have all known to be one of the main things that come to mind when you talk about the CCR. We also have a lot of condos over there, so a lot of case studies for us to learn from, okay? All right. So the performance of Newton condos, again, right, what I wanted to do was to sort of find what is the high watermark for these condominiums over at Newton Novena. While they were not as high, not like 2,800 PSF, not as high as River Valley, but they also have a decently high watermark. Right? We see Park Infinite at Winam have hit 2,500 PSF before, Viva, Twilight 2005, 2003, 2002 PSF for Soleil at Sinaran. Right? Which is about there if you look at some of the new launches in that area, not too far off, but not as good as I would say, not as good as River Valley, where you can find new launches below the high water mark of the resale developments over there. But still a pretty decent ones, right? I'm comparing this to, let's say, the RCR, whereby the high water mark of anything else in the area may be 1,008 PSF, but you have to accept new benchmark prices set for condos at 2001, 2002, right? If you go to Ang Mo Kio, the high water mark of anything in that area is probably 1,008 PSF, but 1,006 PSF, right? But you now have to enter 500 PSF more than any high water mark over there, okay? Right, next up, right? Again, I've picked up 10 developments over in District 11, over at Newton MRT. And let's take a look at what we can gain or gather out of these case studies. Over here, okay, so if we were to again compare them based on annualized capital gains, right, percentage annualized capital gains, right, let's take a look. So rank first is Park Infinite at Winam, of course, the biggest unit over, the biggest development over there, Freehold, right, quite understandably so to be the best, the one that does the best, similar to Rivergate, right. So if you're buying Freehold, the biggest one in the area, you are very, very safe. Okay? But what's interesting over here to see is the next two. Again, right? Remember the previous one, in River Valley, is also the next two that was very, very interesting. But this next two, why is it interesting? Right? Rochelle at Newton, 99 years compared to some of the larger Freehold ones, right? So we have Viva, Freehold, 235 units, same age as Rochelle at Newton, but the 99 years one beats Viva over here. And why so? Okay. For this case, I want you to take a look at the PSFs over here and the PSF over here to give you a sort of clue what is the gap that Rochelle has provided to the market. Okay. Next up, another interesting one is Iridium. Okay, 45 units. Okay, Freehold 45 units. Honestly, if I didn't see this data over here, I would perhaps have sort of written it off as sure lose money. Some more built in 2009, which is Bay Windows era. People have bought it at sort of a high, but he has done very, very well, So it's very, very surprising to me. So now let's see what can we learn from Rochelle and from Iridium, okay? So let's first start off at Rochelle, okay? Okay, but before that, right, since we are on this topic and since we have already seen River Valley and Newton, okay, I want to share with you guys this. So over in River Valley, one of the downsides is that they don't really have the top tier school. We have River Valley Primary. While the name is very atas, it's not exactly one of the top tier school. But Novena Newton, right, we have ACS Junior, ACS Primary, and we have SJI, okay? But you notice over here, the percentage annualized profits of transaction in 2021, notice how generally the River Valley area beats out Newton, Novena. So that is just to understand, answer the whole question on does proximity to good schools matter. If we look at this particular case studies, the answer is no. As a matter of fact, a better, more premium area, District 9 compared to District 11 will still help your property win out lah, in terms of profits. Okay, that's just to answer the whole school's question in case I forget to answer this later, later on. Now let's dive into Rochelle. So like just now what I shared, right? I feel Rochelle managed to do well, managed to gain profits is because of its PSF. Even though it's 99 years, not terribly big, 100 over units, it was priced well enough, right? It catered to, again, right, the entry level, people looking to move into Newton, looking at 3 bedrooms, right? We can see over here, yeah? It is the larger units, right? The larger units that have been transacted, we have 3 bedrooms going at 2.5 million, which if you go to Viva, the prices will be quite a bit higher up. If you go Trilight, because the units are bigger, PSF higher, quantums are a lot bigger. So if we have somebody, why I know this for a fact is because I have served a client that was looking to move into the Newton Novena area, and basically Rochelle was the one that at least could have met their spatial requirements at their budget. Yeah, and that was the reason why they chose Rochelle. Did they really care if it was 99 or Freehold? Obviously, they would have preferred Freehold, but because they were limited by budget and they had a certain size requirements, because again, remember, if you want to move there, it's for the kids and for the school, right? They cannot compromise that much on the size. If they had wanted a Freehold, they would have compromised. If they had compromised on the size, yes, they would have gotten a Freehold one, but because of the needs, requirements, the circumstances, they couldn't. So Rochelle caters to this particular group well, right? And I feel they have still a bit of room to go if you look at in terms of the average PSF on where they sort of stand, right? Based on where the market is and where they stand. So something to take a look at, right? That being said, actually their layouts are, I would consider basically just quite average lah. Right, they don't really have the 3 bedroom data, but actually if you look at the 4, I mean, don't look at this one. Let's see. Let's see if I can get, over here, right? 1,700 square feet, 3 bedroom plus study. You come in, yes, private lift, but it's sort of the longitude, this portrait kind of layout lah, which is the dining and the living, so it's not the longitudinal, not the terribly grand looking ones. We have also bay windows and planters over here, right? So regardless, despite of that, they still manage to do well. Okay, so that's sort of the takeaway over at Rochelle. Now comes the more interesting one, Iridium. Okay, Iridium, just 45 units, okay? But most of them have done very, very well in terms of their profits. We can look at this one over here. You see over here, even a guy that bought in 2018, sold in 2021, right? 4.4% percentage annualized return, make 240,000, right? Not terribly impressive, especially after we have come over from River Valley, but yet the percentage annualized is still a very respectable amount, above 3%, right? So if you have 4%, to me is very, very good already, percentage annualized returns. Okay, and right, this interesting case study is because you might think, well, maybe the layout is good. Let me share with you a video over here. So this is a video of one of the listings over at Iridium lah, yeah? And you can see, tell me what do you think about the particular layout. Okay, so this is the 1078 square feet, 3 bedroom. I think it's a 3 plus study. Here, the balcony is accessed with a door. It's not even a sliding, it's just one door go out to go to the balcony. And the balcony is not exactly a very regular shape. View-wise, okay. Reasonable lah. I mean, if in the Novena area, Newton area, not much in terms of view one lah. Okay, so you come in, so you see I think the living room is still okay. The kitchen is open, right, with the dining table right beside. So the heavy cookers you will not like, huh? Here we have the study room, which is I think still okay. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. You're going to come into a shocker in the next room lah. Over here. So this is the room. That's a queen size bed, and basically you have no space around it anymore. Yeah, you can see how tight it is lah, based on the video. And then next up, we will go into the master bedroom. The master bedroom is still quite okay lah in terms of the size, but I wouldn't say terribly impressive. Okay, but yet still make very, very good profit. So what is the gap that I feel that they have catered towards? Again, I personally believe it's a quantum game, right? Because it is asking just 2.2 million for a 1-bedroom, for a 3-bedroom within the proximity of the 3 good schools, right? The 2 ACS and SJI. Is there a market? There definitely is a market. So if you are within good proximity of the schools, the layouts not so good, but your quantum is correct, there will still be demand for it. So now bring me to the next question. Upcoming, we have new supply coming in. Layout will be better than what you see over here, right? So, but they will have a smaller size, but better layout. Do I see demand flowing over there to those particular developments? Personally, I feel there will be some demand over there because of the fact that people are willing to pay in the resale market, not a particularly new development, not a development with fantastic facilities, still willing to pay for it, gives me confidence that the demand is strong enough for some of the launches in that area lah. Okay? I need to go back to the slides. Yeah, so conclusion over here, does size matter? Obviously, we have seen Iridium 40, does development size matter? Iridium 45 units still do so well, better than some of the larger developments. So again, right, doesn't really matter. 99 or freehold, again, doesn't really matter. Conclusion, why is important, right? Over here, just now I have showed you some of the layouts, right, of the profitable units. So 99 over freehold when, right, if the quantum is correct. If, again, same theory as Quayside, if you feel that they cater to, there's a group that will buy, right? You have to understand your competition. If the freehold large development is priced significantly more, and you cater at the correct quantum still for an entry-level 3-bedroom, yeah, I feel 99 over freehold is perfectly okay. But of course, if the freehold is priced well, yeah, and you can afford it, you go for the large freehold development, you can't go wrong. The development size doesn't really matter, as we have seen from Rochelle and from Iridium, okay? But what is important again, right? Layout, does it matter? You saw the video of Iridium, doesn't really matter. What is important? It's quantums. What's important is quantums, okay? So now wrapping up, okay? What are the areas of interest? What are the areas in the CCR that interest me? So instead of zooming in on the areas, like if you took away on what I shared, I will be looking at areas regardless of where they are in the CCR. Of course, if it's anchored down by good schools, great, right? Layouts good or not doesn't really matter, but if they have the right quantums, 3 bedrooms plus minus around the $2 million mark, I think it's very, very safe for us to enter, be it resale, be it new, right? As we have seen the examples already illustrated. I think Iridium has given you quite a fair bit of confidence if you can enter a 3-bedroom at plus minus a $2 million mark within 1 km of the good schools. You can't really go wrong. If not, right, you get 99, but for 99 you need a slightly bigger size, like the Rochelle example. If not, you go for a premium location like River Valley, you got to look for something with a little bit of an X factor, right? So Martin Modern, brand new, spanking new, wow factor when you step into the development. The quayside with its river view, a bit of an X factor regardless of its age, because it provides a good enough size at a correct quantum. You're gonna attract, still attract demand moving forward, still allowing you to make a profit. I'm sharing with us sort of probably the not so obvious ways for the profits. Of course, the most profitable, you notice I didn't dive deep into Rivergate or into Park Infinia because those are given. They are the largest guys, freehold in the area. They obviously will make the most money. It's the second, third tiers that actually have caught my attention, and I feel perhaps it's a bit more interesting to talk about, and as well as offer a bit of a more interesting perspective for the listeners, right? So areas of interest, areas whereby there's a gap in supply in the market because the demand is going to come into the CCR. Rest assured, right? The CCR has underperformed the RCR and the OCR in the last couple of years. People will eventually start to realize that the sort of PSF that they pay for the RCR and for the OCR, they can get something good in the CCR. They definitely will at least think about it. At least think about it, because it's going to cross a significant mental barrier for you to think, hey, if I'm paying 2,100 PSF for Ang Mo Kio, unless you really, really need it for the school, right? 2002, 2003, or 2004, if I can get something freehold in the CCR, quite obviously a better location, people will start to think about it, right? I know last year, when my main focus or my main idea on where the gap in the market is on large OCR units, I wasn't really, and in the years of past, wasn't really a huge fan of the CCR, right? It was because last time I keep feeling that the CCR, the demand is not organic, not local, but I feel that trend is starting to change. And with the OCR and CCR supply of large units, value sort of new launches all being already taken up, we got to start looking elsewhere for where the pockets of demand, pockets of opportunity lie within the market. And again, right, since now we are talking about this whole recession thing, right, with the potential recession coming, if you can get a good value freehold property in a good location that has already high watermark set at a certain price point, would you feel safer that way? Yeah, something to think about, right? So of course, right, if you like that list that I shared with you, that I briefly flashed earlier on the rankings of all the profitable transactions, right, just drop me a text. Happy to send it to you. The last time we did one list, so today we added on to that list. For those of you who have already texted us for the previous list, don't worry, we're going to text you the new list sometime in the next couple of days. But if you have not received any list from us before, drop me a text. I'll be happy to send it over to you. So before I go, right, just want to share some in terms of more macro level stuff, how to think, right? Do you understand the differences, right? Questions to ask yourself. Do you understand the differences between investing in the CCR versus the RCR and the OCR? Yeah, there are some inherent differences. You got to think a little bit out of the box, because if you apply the same sort of thinking, the same sort of fundamentals, sometimes you may miss out on stuff. All right. I think the core fundamentals, buying the biggest development there, those sort of things will not go wrong. It applies across the board, right? But you may miss out like opportunities like Iridium. All right, you get where I'm coming from, right? Are you aware of the shifting trends? Yeah, the reasons why Martin Modern is doing well, the reasons why the Quayside is doing well, the reasons why Rochelle does well despite it being a 99 years development in a freehold area. So those are the sort of trends that you want to be ahead of, and then so that you can be well aware of how to take advantage of those to make a profitable purchase, right? And lastly, what does the market want? Yeah, so You know, the guys that bought the guys that bought Quayside 2018, then today flipping it out for 300k profit, 4% annualized returns, they probably did have a pretty good idea of what the market is looking for. They are buying the right product, so it's well and easy to resell out moving forward. Having a very clear exit plan in mind, right? Running through that whole thing, so you're not really making a guess. Because if you're looking for a short-term flip, you cannot really be making guesses. I mean, nobody knows for sure, but you need to have probably a pretty good idea on what is the kind of price you can already be selling for. And the benefit of the CCR is the high watermark points have already been set. So actually, understanding the exit, being able to predict the exit over in the CCR is easier than the RCR and the OCR, whereby likelihood you are entering at new benchmark prices, and it takes a bit more guessing for you to sort of predict or plug in a kind of price in the exit. Okay, and lastly, right, how do you go about planning it? Again, right, always go from start from the why and go outwards. It's not about the what. And in today's example, again, it illustrates if you come in from the outside, starting from the what, you would have eliminated things like Iridium, you have eliminated opportunities like the Quayside, you have eliminated opportunities like Martin Modern, because, right, in hindsight, Martin Modern looks good, but at that point in time, the people are saying it's nuts to buy a 99 years at a record-setting price when there's all that freehold developments around, right? But instead, if you start from the why, right? Why is there an opportunity, or why are people diving into that area? Why is CCR underperforming the RCR and the OCR in the last couple of years? And is that going to change, right? Then next up, how do we spot these gaps in the market? How do we predict the demand coming in? How do we predict the trends? How do we spot the trends? So starting from inside is where you avoid missing out on opportunities like that. You have a better appreciation of good value developments, because good value developments may not necessarily, right? Remember the case study that I shared with you for the Quayside. The guy paid the first owner 800,000. So again, if you look at those three data points, 99-year development, not very big, less than 100 units, paying the first owner $800,000 in profit. If you start with the what inwards, most of us will not be buying. But the guy knew something different, right? The guy had a different way of looking at it, which was why he was able to make the kind of profits that he made. Okay, and you know, a word of advice is always start from the inside out, right? Why is this happening, right? Why is it like that, right? Then the how, lastly is the what. Then the what becomes a lot clearer to you. Okay. So what's next, right? We have gone to the RCR. Today we covered the CCR. The last stop is the OCR. Yeah. And so we're going to dissect the profitable developments over there. Next month, again, last Wednesday of the month, 8:30, without fail. For us, we have been doing this for, I believe it's coming for 2 years. I think so, it should be about 2 years now. So see you guys next month. Do we have any questions? We do. So Q&A time, right? Time for you to key in the questions if you do have. If you don't, or you are shy, you can always text me your questions or text me for the list.
Do you think, Gerald Tan asks, do you think in Bukit Timah area the availability of 4th Avenue residents 1-bed units would do well in resale market given the low supply of 1-bedders there and low quantum for 99-year lease there?
Gerald, yes. Right, Gerald, I remember you. Yeah, I think we spoke before, right? 4th Avenue. Okay. Then maybe I share with you one case study over here, which may be of interest to you. I didn't pick this up too much, right? I was trying to cover as much as I can. If you look at the CCR, one of the better performing ones, you see over here, right, Amaryllis View. Amaryllis View is 99 years, okay? The most profitable unit, Amaryllis View, in the last year, 4.6% annualized returns, right, is a one bedroom, okay? 657 square feet. Just one case study. I have another case study. If we jump over to Mirage Towers over here, notice also all the transactions over there are also quite a fair bit. The most profitable ones are also the one bedrooms, right? 570 square feet. The kind of quantums that they are transacting at 570 square feet, 2 plus million, 2.2 million. So if you ask me, 4th Avenue residences, I think they will still make good. They will still be able to make good money. You see over here, but of course, you know, you probably got to wait a while, right? Because now the resale in the CCR is hitting that $1 million mark. I think if you have entered 4th Avenue one bedrooms around the $1 million mark, I think that there is profits to be made over at 4th Avenue. Not as clear cut as I think River Valley or Novena. Novena at the end of the day anchored down by good primary school. You never know. Some of the people that buy the one bedroom over there is just so that they can use the address to put their kids in the good schools. But for River Valley, people want to stay. But I think 4th Avenue also because it's beside the MRT, people will want to stay. So there likelihood to be organic demand coming in there. So yeah, I think it should continue to do pretty well, Gerald, over at 4th Avenue. Because one of the bigger developments in the area, undersupplied area coming up. And 4th Avenue, the old grandstand, there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming up over there around the Stevens MRT. So likelihood also to push prices up that way. That's it. Right, so thanks for joining, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, Gerald, for the question. Right. See you. Bye-bye.